Hi, it's Maggie the Irish Gypsy here to bring you your July 2018 general readings. Thanks for joining us here today. Welcome to any newcomers, and thanks for all your comments and feedback and likes, shares, and subscribes. And thanks to all my clients out there, new and regular, for keeping me so busy with the one-on-one readings. You can find more information and all my contact details about getting a personal one-on-one reading with me by clicking on the little About button you'll find on my YouTube channel's homepage, or clicking on the description bar of the videos that I post. I do a wide variety of readings in all areas of life, including 6 and 12-month overviews and gift readings, channeled messages, and so on. Love and romance, of course, couples charting, and career, work, and finance. Turnaround time is pretty fast too, because I do readings full-time 5 to 6 days a week, so I can usually get back to you within the same day or the first 24 hours of your initial contact. And scheduling can be anywhere from a few days upwards of a couple of weeks, but almost always within a 2-week period of time or so we can set up a reading for you. For those of you who like to utilize the smartphone app Instantgo, you can also find me on that under Irish Gypsy. That profile's link is also included. For quick answers to the quick, easy questions, that's a good way to find me there as well. All right, let's move into this. This reading is for the Earth sign of Virgo for July 2018. If you know your rising and your moon sign, watch those videos as well. They can provide additional clarification. General readings, because there's so many of you watching, they can always, they're always going to resonate a bit differently in the details and specifics of what's going on in your life. But the energy and focus and guidance remains the same. Okay, Virgo, let's see what July 2018 has in store for you. We begin with the Seven of Wands. Interesting, Taurus had that too as overall energy. The Seven of Wands followed by the Lovers. We have the Empress followed by the Five of Wands. We have the Nine of Wands followed by the Three of Wands. And we have Death or Transformation followed by the Six of Wands. Lots of wands. And from the bottom of the deck, your overall energy and focus and guidance and advice, and I'm feeling more advice on this, is the Five of Cups. Yeah, I'm wondering if it's like the Earth energy theme, because Taurus had one that was somewhat similar in terms of that it looks like for some of you, maybe even a lot of you, it's time to let go of something. And it's time to stop focusing just on the negative and take another look around and see that there are still beautiful things in your life to appreciate and be grateful for, and opportunities which may be coming around as well. I feel like for some of you there's been some struggle and conflict perhaps within a significant relationship, and the nature of that relationship may vary. It could be, you know, your significant other, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. It could be a close friend or close work partnership, but it looks like it's very karmically, kinetically connected, because we do have the Lovers card here as well. Doesn't mean this is a love and romance reading. There's a lot of Wands energy here. You have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Wand cards, 3 major arcana, and 1 Cup card. So let's start with your crowning card, which is the Cup card, 5 of Cups. Cups is water energy, and in the tarot this is emotional energy, emotions, feelings, and relationships as well. You can see that this man is sunk to his knees in the grass, and he's completely focused on these 3 tipped over, spilled out cups. And what those cups represent is some kind of loss, you know, something that he's lost, or that he feels he's lost, or has been taken away from him. And all of his attention and focus is on this. So it's a card kind of focusing on what's in the past and what you can't undo, even if it's been recent. But right behind him are the Two of Cups, or not the Two of Cups, right behind him are these 2 cups that are upright, golden, beautiful, still full, but he can't see those because all his attention is only focused on on what he's lost or what he feels is lost or been taken away from him. So the advice, this is your overall focus and advice for the month from Spirit. And I feel like it's more, I don't want to say this is your overall energy and focus for the month, because I don't want you to do what this man is doing and focusing only on whatever loss it is or negativity or pain that these tipped over spilled out cups represent. The guidance for you, I want you to remember to focus on this, Virgo, for the month of July, is that there is still something to be salvaged. There is still something beautiful in your environment that's there to appreciate, still opportunities as well, particularly if it's about conflict you've had in a significant relationship, because that's what it looks like at the end of June, beginning of July. And the timing, of course, in general readings is going to vary. We have the Seven of Wands and the Lovers. So the Seven of Wands is a card, it's a defensive card. It's a card of holding on, of having something threatened or challenged. This man is standing in front of the door to his home, his castle, his keep. And what this represents is going to vary. I mean, it might be an actual property for some of you. For others of you, it might be a relationship. It might be a way of thinking, a belief system that's being challenged. This card can go either way. Sometimes this card represents standing up for yourself, for someone else, for something you believe in. It represents, perhaps for some of you, your ideas being challenged, or a way of thinking being challenged, or a way of looking at something, a belief system being challenged. Don't be afraid to have your ideas or convictions challenged, because they can help us in defending those. They can help us actually understand our own ideas and ways of thinking better, and help us define that better, because our convictions carry us through. Sometimes this represents being too defensive. Sometimes when we have our ideas challenged, or our ways of believing or thinking or looking at something challenged, why we're holding on to something, we need to make sure that we're not holding on out of, you know, stubbornness or obstinacy to something which may not be working for us anymore. If that's the case, we need to look at it honestly and go, yeah, this isn't working for me anymore. I'm going to give up on this and do something different. So what clarifies that, you know, this defensive energy is the Lover's card. And this is where that passionate, karmic sort of connection comes in here. It can represent a love and romance, karmically connected relationship of that sort. It can represent a very close relationship of another nature as well. It also represents making a choice. In the early tarot decks, this was called the choice. It wasn't called the Lover's card, and it showed a man standing in front of two women, or a woman standing in front of two men. The implication being that he had to make a significant decision that was going to have a significant impact on people. And not to say that, you know, you're making a choice between two people, or somebody's making a choice between you and somebody else. That might be the case. But there's a significant choice to be made here. And there is a sense of holding on. Now, for some of you, it might be holding on and being defensive about the relationship, trying to hold on to a relationship. But I feel like it's more conflict, like holding on to hurt. Maybe some of you have been in a relationship where there's been a lot of conflict and hurt, you and your partner or best friend or even a work colleague, and whatever the nature of the conflict is, the pain or the betrayal or whatever it is that's been the source of contention, there's a sense of defensiveness maybe on your part and maybe on the other person's part as well. And a temptation or the challenge is holding on fast to, no, I've been hurt, I'm right and you're wrong, or vice versa. And there's no kind of, let's take an objective look at this, or a more objective look at this, because we're only focusing on the negative here. And it's time to let this go. It's time to move on from this. Make a decision to move on from this, whether it's moving on from the relationship or moving on with the relationship in a new direction. Because right next to the Lovers is the Five of Wands, which is conflict. So next we have the Empress, followed by the Five of Wands. Now the Empress is right next to the Seven of Wands. So here's this defensive card. The Empress comes in. She's all about new beginnings, fertility, the time being right to plant seeds to grow something else. She's the traditional nurturer of the tarot, the traditional earth mother of the tarot deck. She's all about sensuality and nurturing and feeding and fertility, which means the time is right to plant something, to conceive something so that you can nurture it and it can grow to its proper manifestation. Definitely a time for new beginnings, to plant the seeds for new beginnings. And what clarifies that is the Five of Wands. This is a card of conflict. It can represent, or competition, it can represent internal conflict, external conflict with another person or other people, or a combination of both of those things, competition. But it represents, the conflict is fairly petty in nature. It just may have, you know, this focus on it may have, I feel like maybe something was grown, it was fed to the point that it grew out of proportion to what originally started it. Because, you know, the men in this circle, they're not really out to kill each other. These are practice weapons. They're sparring. So the conflict, you know, but nobody's willing to compromise or negotiate. So it just keeps going on in this endless circular conflict and arguing and fighting. And it's time for it to let go. It's time to let this go, to look at it for what it is, accept it, learn what you can from it, so that you can move on in a new direction, whether, again, it's maybe away from the relationship or within the relationship towards a new beginning. It's definitely time for healing, resolution. And I feel like the key here, the key advice here to accomplishing this, Virgo, is to not focus on all the negativity and negative emotions around whatever sparked this. Not to say that, you know, feelings can't be acknowledged, but I think it's been dwelt on too much and it's grown out of proportion. So it's time to kind of let that go and move forward and really push through, because I feel like this is something that you have been investing in, whatever the nature of this relationship or situation is. It looks like you have a great deal invested in it. And I feel like you need to push through this last bit, because that's what's going to cause you to see the effort of doing this, the effort of kind of whatever it takes to let this go and move forward. And I really feel like you're being advised to push through this, to see what's really important. And it's time to, okay, we've talked about this enough, we've focused on the negativity enough, what do we do now? And let's move forward and push through this, because that's how you're going to start seeing progress within this. You're going to start seeing the actual caring and love and investment you have in this start manifesting, because next we have the Nine of Wands and the Three of Wands. Lots of fire energy in this reading, lots of wand cards. Wands is fire energy in the tarot, and this is the energy of creation, of movement, of fluidity, of potential, of creativity and inspiration. It's about moving forward, building things that are moving forward, and it requires action. So it's time to kind of get out of this stuck place and start focusing on what is positive and moving forward. And the Nine of Wands asks you to push through. This man is a soldier. He's been through a lot of battles. He's almost done, and he's tired. He wants to be done, because tens represent completion. We're at the 9 here, and the grouping of wands behind him represent one more obstacle, one last hurdle, obstacle, challenge, delay. He's withdrawn, maybe feeling a bit discouraged, a bit depressed, but he's closer than he thinks to completion. This is a card, I call it the 11th hour card. It's darkest before it's dawn card. It's about pushing through. You're almost there. In a relationship, this would represent, you know, if you focus on what's really important and move through this, I feel like the relationship, and you don't have to do this, I mean, free will zone, but if you do, the relationship will actually continue forward in a stronger, strengthened way, with both of you having a deeper understanding and awareness of what happened, how to prevent it, and how to move on forward, regardless of the nature of the relationship. That's where you're going to see the fruits of this investment and all this effort pay off, because that Nine of Wands is paired with the Three of Wands, which represents having laid the groundwork, laid the foundation, the initial steps. We're only at the 3 here, and waiting to see what the ship is bringing into you, you know, watching your ship come in. It's about starting to see the beginning of starting to see your efforts pay off in a positive way, but it requires action. It requires pushing through this last bit, should you choose to do so. Again, whether it's within the relationship or in a different direction, but taking that wisdom and knowledge with you. And at or towards the end of the month, we have a beautiful combination of cards. We have death, or transformation, as I like to call it, clarified by the Six of Wands. So another major arcana card. This is a card of endings, of something ending, and death usually shows up when something that's ending has been around for a long time. So again, you know, that defensiveness, it could be a way of behaving, a way of thinking, a way of of believing, a way of behaving within relationships, because that's your history and it's based on, you know, a way that you've had of looking at something or believing in something, that, but it might not be working for you anymore. This, I feel like you're being called to kind of re-examine and maybe change some things. So death usually shows up when whatever is coming to a pretty big end needs to. It's old, it's done, it's time to move on. It can also represent, you know, an ending or a shift in your external environment as well. And it's about transformation, because birth follows death, beginnings follow endings. In the seeds of, in every ending and every completion are the seeds for the next thing, the new beginning. But there has to be a complete clearing out first, so that this rebirth and transformation can occur, and that's what death is about. But it's clarified by the Six of Wands, which is victory and triumph after a challenge. And this is a significant major victory as well. This man went off to, you know, accomplish something, you know, rescue a princess, slay a dragon, fix a relationship, change himself, you know, maybe find a new job or career path, or bring some conflict to a resolution. And whatever it was, he went off to do it, and it was difficult and it was challenging, but he achieved triumph, and now he's coming back and he's receiving recognition for it. It might be public recognition as well. Definitely significant victory that has come from letting what needs to die, die. Letting what needs to go, go. The time for dwelling on it and feeding it is over. It's time to move on, particularly in regards to any conflict you're having within relationships with a significant person or close people around you, regardless of the nature of that relationship. Remember the cups that are behind this man. It's time to turn around and look at those. So Virgo, kind of an intense reading, huh? It's wonderful though. It's transformation and change, and look at the end. I mean, it's victory. So Virgo, that pretty much wraps up your July 2018 reading. I hope that you found it helpful or useful in some way. If any of you are interested in a personal one-on-one reading with me, again, for the information and contact details, click on the little about button on my YouTube channel's homepage or the description bar of the videos I post. Please feel free to email me directly at Maggie1McGuire@gmail.com. I would be quite happy to work with you and set up a reading with you, live or recorded. And for those of you who like to use the smartphone app Instantgo, you can also find me there for fast answers to the quick, easy questions. So I will see you all again, Virgo, in a couple of weeks for the July 2018 mid-month readings. And until then, as always, I wish you joy, peace, strength, and a happy, happy love, Virgo, life. Take care, Virgo, and I hope to see you back here again soon. Bye-bye.